Hey y'all, it's Nikki. Check this out. The Holsworth Center and the Texas Book Festival are partnering up to host a conversation with author Imani Perry on February 3rd for their Place the Ladder series, where dynamic leaders talk to Holsworth's president, Lindsay Horton. The conversation and reception will take place at Holsworth's campus on Lake Austin from 5 to 7 p.m. Tickets are only $35, and they come with Perry's latest book. So head over to placetheladder.org to get your tickets. That's placetheladder.org. Today on CityCast Austin, there are a few special blocks of Red River Street in downtown Austin that we all know and love, where many genres of music happily coexist and homemade pasta is served above a metal club. What is the Red River Cultural District's secret sauce? Let's find out. It's Monday, January 13th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with Nicole Clapadlo, interim director of the Red River Cultural District. So I want to start with every parent's favorite question. Your favorite child. Which music venue in the district is your favorite child?
Nikki, do not make me go there.
I know. It's highly inappropriate. Well, you know what? My mom, her favorite child changes. It depends on the day and what we're doing.
Absolutely. I totally feel that with the venues on Red River. I will say, based on the time of year and based on who's playing, it does change. They all hold a special place in my heart, but certainly like Elysium is one of my ultimate favorite spaces.
Yeah.
Just the layout of the venue, the history of the venue. There's just so much depth to it. But I don't want to get in trouble with our board. I absolutely love all of the other venues, and frequent them, quite regularly, actually.
Yeah. I love all my kids the same. I will say Elysium is a solid choice. It's a mainstay for Red River.
It is.
So we're going to get into this more, but that area is home to just like dozens of live music venues. And so I want you to tell us more about this stretch of Red River. What does it look like? How long have these venues been around? In case there's someone listening that isn't sure.
We always say, if you've not been to Red River, you're always welcome on Red River. So the actual cultural district stretches from 4th Street to 15th Street. The newest music venue that we have is Moody Center to the far north. And while that's a bigger venue, it's important because we do see a lot of the musicians that are in the spaces of our smaller venues kind of working their way up to actually performing in that space. So, Red River kind of serves as that incubation. But ultimately, as you kind of navigate north to south, you are intersecting with, the amphitheater. Waller Creek Amphitheater is there, which was another newer venue. Outdoor, really great space, provides some awesome music opportunities, a great sort of green area to sit on during the summer months and spring months and fall. Just love that space and great addition to the district. And then you kind of navigate further south and you hit Mohawk and Cheer Up Charlie's, Stubbs, which is actually a whole block, and they have a stage inside and outside. Navigating further, we've got Valhalla and the 13th floor, which was formerly Beerland, which has got, deep roots. We hit Elysium. Our district actually kind of spears off to 7th Street as well. So there's Empire, Control Room, and Garage. We also have Creek and Cave, which is a comedy club, but they do have music on their back patio. Chess Club, which is about I think their capacity is 91. So very small, intimate space.
I love Chess Club.
Oh, it's fantastic. And the people behind that space just have so many roots in the city and just keep doing amazing things with their spaces. But we actually continue further down in Swan Dive, Barbarella, and then we actually are good partners with Flamingo Cantina, which is over on 6th Street, but they've been a staple in Austin for 32 years. And so you're really navigating a district that is the foundation for the live music capital of the world, plus some really great restaurants and food trucks and bars mixed in there as well.
Every type of music, every type of entertainment, the diversity is just vast on Red River.
You can be on Red River one night and see country, punk, you can see a drag show, you can see a comedy show, goth. I mean, there is just so much to see and do in the district.
Now, I have heard that Janis Joplin used to play in the bars on Red River. Is that true?
It is true.
Yes.
The space, so Janis Joplin did go to UT. My understanding is she didn't make it all the way through, but she played at a space called the 11th Door, which is located right there at 11th and Red River.
So what other famous musicians have played there over time that you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, Willie Nelson has played on Red River. I mean, those, that is like an Austin staple. But Rocky Erickson, I mean, the great.
Wow, the greats. Back in the day when it was happening regularly, I took for granted the people that I was seeing at Stubbs. Stubbs had James Brown the year he passed away. He played at Stubbs, and I was at that show, and it was incredible. He had 20 people on stage with him. It was amazing. Like, I mean, I was at the show where Busta Rhymes was at Stubbs and passed bottles of Cavassier to the crowd. Just like, sometimes I forget about all this cool stuff that happens in the city because I'm used to, or you know what I mean? Like, I've gotten used to it because we bring such cool stuff, especially on Red River.
I love that you said that. I mean, Austin is its own kind of bubble and ecosystem. I'm originally from Detroit, but going back and visiting friends, and you're saying things like, I saw Bill Murray at a show at Mohawk, and everybody's like, what? What?
Yes.
He's so famous. And you're like, well, it happens on Red River, happens in Austin,
Yeah.
And those are those special moments. There are a lot of people that have met their significant other on Red River. And have like fallen in love on Red River or found their like forever bandmates on Red River. I just think like for a lot of folks, whether you work in the industry, you are a musician playing on the stage, you own a venue or operate a venue, like your livelihood is tied to these stories and these memories and these really frankly experiences that you hold.
I love it. It's a really great hub for, I'm going to kind of go back to the diversity. It's a really good hub for all ages too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've seen, there's never a time when I go to Red River when I feel like I'm too old to be down here. That just does not happen. And there's a lot of places in the city now where I've aged out like that. You know what I mean? Like I go there and I'm like, oh, okay. Like it might be time for me to go home and go to bed. It's not like that at Red River. There's everyone is there.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. We just had Free Week, and honestly, it's all ages. We've got venues that do accommodate all ages shows, but also like we did Hot Summer Nights back in July, and people were bringing their kiddos out. They had the cute headphones on.
Yeah.
It really is an opportunity for you to get out and see, music that you maybe have never seen before. I think one of the things you said is like, you kind of take for granted these experiences. And It's like, you have to keep checking yourself because people are constantly looking at Austin and they're constantly looking at our district and being like, how do we get this? How do we cultivate this where we are? But what people aren't also seeing is that it's a struggle. I mean, the district has its ups and downs, we may be putting on a very pretty face and doing a lot of things, but there have been some challenges.
And along those lines, let's go back. In 2013, the city passed a resolution recognizing the Red River Cultural District. And so let's talk a little bit about what is a cultural district and how did this effort happen? Because I imagine it was not easy.
Oh, no, it was not easy. A lot of the venue owners were starting to see other venues, neighboring venues close. And it started to become rather alarming in 2013. And so there was some effort by, some core stakeholders in the district, venue owners and operators to say, we should make this a cultural district. Like, let's acknowledge it for what it is. It's got these deep cultural roots. It provides a lot of economic opportunities and a lot of music heritage opportunities for the community. Like, let's see if we can replicate what other cities are doing and call this what it is, a cultural destination. The city did do a resolution to create this cultural district in 2013, but it didn't come with any bells or whistles, right? So you got the designation and it was great to call it a cultural district, but that didn't change anything. There were no like incentives or programs or support to say, okay, now you're a cultural district. The city is now committed to uplifting you in different ways. And what we've seen across the country is there are a lot of communities that are, in public-private partnerships between the cultural district and the city, making sure that these districts, these destinations, not only for locals, but for tourists, both national and international, are mainstays, that they're here to stay forever, that they're invested in, that they are nurtured. And that's kind of taken time. And that's kind of where we're at today is we're building on that designation in 2013 and kind of pushing the city towards saying, okay, we're a cultural district. Now, what does that mean for us? Like, work with us, be a partner. We want to partner with you.
So now let's talk a little bit about like what this means, because I think that sometimes people that don't understand, I guess I'll say that, are like, cities will pay for water, sewer, gas, cities won't pay for music, right? And so I want to talk about if there was any pushback to using taxpayer dollars to fund live music venues and what that is about and what it feels like on your end.
It's been exhausting pushing for this funding. There was a moment kind of at the end of 2024 where I was like, did we just go through that? Did we just push that boulder up the hill and finally get the city to acknowledge that we're a cultural district and you should support us? So I think some context to this also is that the city has 3 cultural districts, locally designated cultural districts. And for a while there, Red River was the only one not receiving funding. And so there had been a precedent that had been set that the city was supporting cultural districts in the city. And we were greatly trying to figure out how do we navigate putting ourselves in the same playing field as these other cultural districts. And a lot of it was education. And a lot of it was just explaining to council members, explaining to staff at the city who we are and what our contributions are and what are the community assets that we continue to pump into our economy. Every one of these venues produces mixed beverage tax, which is a big thing for the city. Property tax, sales tax. People are coming nationally and internationally to see shows on Red River. So they're staying in hotels. So there's hotel occupancy tax that's being generated. And at the root of cultural districts, the idea is that you're generating tourism, you're generating opportunities for people to come and a visitorship along with that. And so a lot of it was education. It was navigating and telling our story over and over, telling people the numbers of like, how many visitors do we have during our annual festivals, telling them, the funding that they were going to give us wasn't go directly to the venues, but it was going to support musicians and support programs.
So I want to talk a little bit about that because there are other cultural districts in Austin. I know there's an African American History Cultural District, and what's the other one?
It's the Mexican American Cultural Heritage District.
Right.
Cultural Heritage District. Yep.
Right. And so I think this is also not an issue, but a challenge about definition.
Important.
And I'm going to say this as someone who also had this misunderstanding. I think that sometimes when we think about culture, we think about it very, very binary. So like race or LGBTQIA+, or we try to attach it to a person or a people, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is true. Mm-hmm. But also, I think we got to get into the definition of a culture of music. What makes our city special? That is a culture. Our live music is a culture. And it took me, honestly, Nicole, it took me a while to wrap my brain around that. It
Sure.
took me a while to be like, oh, and I'm a musician. It took me that long to be like, oh, shit. Yeah, we're talking about an entire culture of people, like the service industry, musicians, this that create this live music cipher that keeps the city running, right? And like, I know when you go to city council, you got to get brass tacks, but I also love this idea of people really changing their minds about how they view what a cultural district is. That
Absolutely.
definition, that definition.
Yeah, absolutely. And the city did not have definitions.
Yeah.
So, they're in the middle right now of a policy framework, which is something we have been pushing for to say, we're not going to be the last cultural district. The reality is that the city needs to start, and they've leaned into this greatly, you know, really analyzing the benefits, not just the tangible, the numbers, right? But the sense of community, that cultural component, how it fosters creatives, how it's fostering a sense of place, how it's fostering a sense of belonging. If someone feels as a musician that's up and coming, they feel like they belong somewhere, they're more likely to succeed, as they're getting started as a musician. And so we are seeing the city move towards a policy for cultural districts that we're very, very excited about, because we do believe we're stronger if there's other cultural districts in Austin, and each one of our cultural districts today has such a unique thing to offer the community.
This is a part of our identity. This is what we shout from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Like, we're the live music capital of the world. We shout it from the rooftops. And so
Yeah.
it stands to reason
Yep.
that we should be, as a city, investing.
You talk to a lot of venue owners, you talk to a lot of musicians, and the one thing that keeps coming up, this theme, is we call ourselves the live music capital of the world. And that's great that that brand identity continues to be on, the front page of magazines and in blog posts or bringing influencers to Austin. But if we're not nurturing that, it doesn't mean anything. So a lot of what we've been navigating is put your investment behind your brand. We're not asking all the time for dollars and cents. We're asking you to help figure out what some of these these hardships are, related to the music industry and the music economy, so that we can stay strong and evolve as the city continues to evolve.
That is a very professional way of saying, put your money where your mouth is. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And I believe in that for all of our cultural districts, for the African American Cultural District, Mexican American Cultural District. These are cultural districts make up the fabric of our city.
Yes.
Like, come on. It feels like a no-brainer to me. And the fact that you guys have to fight so hard, it drives me a little crazy.
It is. It's I will say we're a one-person nonprofit. And we have been financially trying to stabilize since the pandemic. And to know that, I mean, I will just say it, to know that we had to spend that amount of resource convincing the city that we were equal to other cultural districts and or should fall in line with receiving funding, was exhausting and really unnecessary, to be honest.
Let's talk about the pandemic. What happened in the Red River Cultural District during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic was harsh. Most venues remained closed anywhere from 14 to 18 months. That's no revenue in, that's no revenue out. So if you think about the trickle down from that, not only were venue owners and operators not making any money, the musicians were not making any money either because there was no place to play. Additionally, added to that, our creative community who does graphic design for these events, our photography community, our videography community, all of these creatives for that period of time lost a lot of revenue generating opportunities, a lot of livelihood. But during that time, our organization really just tried to understand how can we be helpful. I mean, we really were trying to figure out like, if we're not fostering live music right now, how can we support and nurture our community? So we did launch a program called Banding Together, which did provide gift cards to any folks in the industry. They were HEB grocery gift cards. And the amount of folks that just said, you have no idea how much this gift card helped me, because people were not making money. They were not gigging. They were not being a bartender. And so, the truth is that the ability for us to be able to do that during a time where our industry and our community was in such need, we hope to replicate it in the future and have it something that is more ongoing, because we do know Austin continues to put stressors on our industry, but it was such a good way for us to give back and be there and supportive of our community. It's close knit. I will tell you, people are looking out for each other. People are having each other's backs.
Yeah.
We see that day to day, but certainly saw a lot of that during the pandemic and the other disasters that we've experienced here in Austin. At the end of the day, we are a community, and they're constantly looking out for each other.
I can't say enough wonderful things about service industry people, performers, musicians. It feels sometimes cliche to say it, but they're the backbone of our city.
Scream it from the rooftops. Scream it from the rooftops. Yes, absolutely.
But again, since we're talking about it, venues aren't only relying on the city for funding and success. Like we're talking about, it gives back. You're giving back so much and doing a ton of live music for the climate. The live music climate here. So let's talk about Free Week and Hot Summer Nights. How did they get started?
So Free Week the idea behind it was kind of post-holiday, things are slow. Musicians are not touring, they're not getting on stages. The service industry has kind of just, went through a very big lull. And so at the time, the idea was like, let's offer free music to get people out and keep the doors open, keep the lights on, pay these musicians, get some bar revenue, and it's a win-win for everyone. And so in 2003, that started. And what you started to see was different venues across Austin participating in something that became called Free Week. And once our organization was formed and solidified in 2015, we saw this as an opportunity to really make sure that we don't lose this tradition. Hearing from musicians and hearing from venue owners and hearing from small businesses, we truly know that Free Week has a major economic impact on our industry and on our community. And so the Cultural District, every year we work to secure grants and fundraise, we secure sponsorships, and all of that funding goes to support the musicians that play the stages over the period of time that we host Free Week. I will tell you, I'm still on a Free Week high from the weekend. Like it was just so good. The lines out the venue doors. You look online, you look on your social media channels, the photos and the videos, like it just went off without a hitch. People had such good times. Venues were really happy. Small businesses made money. Musicians were paid. It was just such a great, great weekend. So we host that every year in January. And then we also have like a sister event, which happens in July. And I know everyone's like, why would you throw a music festival in Austin in July? It is so hot. And, and the truth is, because it's too hot and people don't want to come out, and this is a way for us to get people to come out, frequent these venues, spend some local dollars, see new music, and we get to pay musicians again. So we see July as also another lull of the year where things are slow, but ultimately it gives us another opportunity to support paid opportunities for musicians and also creatives like our photographers, videographers, graphic designers.
Well, and also because these events aren't held during high tourist times, it really feels like it is for Austin by Austin.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so local. It's so grassroots. It was interesting. One of the things that we have been noticing with these festivals, like I said, Austin is growing, it's changing. So we are reaching new audiences, people that have never been down to Red River before. And they're like, what? I can walk into 12 venues and see
Right.
free music. And we're like, yes, yes, you can.
It used to be we had 6th Street and there were venues all along 6th Street. That's changed.
It has.
And so like it's one of the last places where that you can go probably on any given night of the week and you are going to find music somewhere.
You are.
That
You
period.
absolutely are. You absolutely are. Yep.
So I have to ask you, especially since we're coming off of Free Week, what is one of your favorite concerts that you've seen during Free Week or Hot Summer Nights?
Oh, goodness. So I felt like Chess Club did a fantastic job the whole weekend. Like I kept finding myself peeking back in there. So when I'm out there, not only am I wearing like my hat of like making sure everybody's getting paid, but I'm also like looking for new music and visiting with folks. But I did see some really good stuff at Chess Club. Guiding Lights was one of my favorite. JD Clark over at Mohawk was another big
Yeah.
favorite of mine. We did a fantastic partnered party with KUTX over at Stubbs. And Ghetto Gala was there. And oh my gosh, like that was great.
I've seen them. They're great.
Oh, it was really good. Flamingo Cantina. It is 32 years old. They always host some really good stuff, but the Tiaras had played. They always put on such a great show.
I gotta say, Flamingo Cantina stays one of my favorite places that I've ever played. There is something about the like, everybody come one, come all, let's get together, let's hang out. I know you, you know me, kind of vibe to Flamingo. I love that kind of like packed in feeling there. I love it. I love Flamingo. And also I saw that Cherub Charlie's had some great programming too. I'm really sad I missed Free Week this week.
Oh, bummer.
I know. I never miss it.
And you'll have to put the dates on for Hot Summer Nights, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I've never been to Hot Summer Nights.
Yeah.
Every year.
Well, we got to get you out there. I mean, the other thing with Hot Summer Nights is we've been doing some daytime programming, which is great. We did a event last year at Mohawk, and it actually was for the kids. And it was a sing-along, and we did a pizza party.
That sounds adorable.
Songs of the Beatles by a band, and there was a big old parachute that was going up and down, and people were eating pizza. It was fantastic. There were a couple of, parents in there that were like, why is this only 90 minutes long? Like, I want it to be longer. They were having a good time. So I think, we're doing more daytime program. We had a great night market for Hot Summer Nights, which allows us to showcase some really fantastic makers and creatives. We partnered with Futurefront on that. And, I think what's great about these festivals is you really start to see the partnerships that have bloomed. We had Sims and The Chronicle and ATX musicians out for Free Week. They had booths, so you could pop over and kind of see what those orgs have going on. It just gets to the heart of community across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So, question, as an Austinite, what can we do? What can we do? We know we can make sure that we go to the venues, we make sure we go to the shows, put our money into the district. Are there any other things that we can do to make sure that we support Red River Cultural District?
I love that question. Certainly coming out regularly to see shows. I think, there's a lot of reality around music being free. And you're a musician. And at the end of the day, you need to pay your bills. And so I think the one thing is spreading the education and knowledge around musicians are careers as well. They're working musicians and they deserve to be paid. So if there's a cover charge of $10, pay the cover charge of $10. Please.
That's it. It's $10.
Yeah. These venues are not making hand over fist in money. Nobody's swimming in $100 bills. They are keeping the lights on in most cases. And when you're downtown, your taxes are higher, your rent is higher. And by the end of the day, when you're paying your staff, paying the musicians, and you're relying solely on ticket sales and bar revenue.
I'm so glad that you said that because I think that there is sometimes this misunderstanding that there's like, some person that's just like in the back counting money like Scrooge McDuck. Like all of the money is coming to one person. When in actuality, like you're doing is you're putting money in service industry people's pockets and musicians' pockets. And a
Absolutely.
$10 cover charge is nothing for what you're
Right.
getting. Like you won't think twice about buying some crap on Amazon that none of us need, right?
Yep.
You can take that $10, you can go downtown, pay a cover charge, see some new music, see some good music, maybe buy a cocktail, maybe not.
Yep.
But then you've contributed. You contributed to the city. You've contributed to keeping these cool things happening.
Absolutely. I think it's super important also to if don't feel intimidated if you've never been to a space on Red River.
Let me tell you something. I've had so many people tell me how scary Valhalla looks. And so I need to bring this up. You guys have got to go into Valhalla if you've never been. We spent an entire day there this past year was, I think it was during South by. We spent the whole day at Valhalla, and it was one of the best times I've ever had in my life. And when we first went in there, I think that everybody was like, it looks scary in here. And I'm like, no, we got to go in. It's going to be great.
Yes. Yes. Valhalla is not scary. Also, I will do a plug right now is not only does Valhalla open at 7 on Red River, they also have an amazing Italian restaurant on
Yep.
the upper level. And I guess, everybody that's been in there is like, what are you talking about? There is a space called Marinara Miracles. They make their own pasta, y'all. Like it is so good. So
It's really good.
go see a show, get yourself a bowl of pasta, and have yourself a good night. That's the other thing in terms of like what you can do is come out. Don't feel intimidated or feel like this space isn't for you. Like you are welcome in any of these spaces. Check out these new bands and bring your friends. I mean, they're coming to the live music capital of the world. So show them the live music capital of the world.
Exactly. So is there anything else about cultural districts or Red River that I haven't asked you about that you feel like we really need to know about, though?
Red River Cultural District is also a state cultural district. So that's important to acknowledge because I think there are about 68 state cultural districts across the state of Texas. And so that puts us in this kind of coalition of other cultural districts across Texas, which is a really cool network. In terms of other stuff, I think, what's important about our organization, this is kind of a confusing thing, Nikki. People are like, well, you're a cultural district. What do you do? You're a nonprofit. What do you do? But I think the important thing is also that we work tirelessly with the city of Austin to work on program and policy and project development. And I think sometimes that's one of the bigger things because it's not as cool as like putting on a festival, but behind the scenes, we are sitting in rooms with council members or city staff formulating a lot of the programs that have been created to help and support musicians. There were a lot of musicians that received funding through that, small grants for folks, and it helps a lot. The other thing is, on a policy side, we're at the table kind of navigating, what is a cultural district? Like, how should cultural districts get funding? And then at the state level, certainly working with our partners who are advocating. We're a nonprofit, so we can't do kind of legislative work, but also sitting at the table with others to kind of say, these are our needs while we have advocacy efforts going on in Austin to make sure that at the state level, we're recognizing the contribution that the live music community is contributing. And one of the big successes of that came out of the Music Venue Alliance that really allows the TABC taxes, those alcohol taxes, to be reimbursed back to venues. So that's more money in venues' pockets in terms of the contribution. So I think sometimes we get lost in throwing festivals and it's like, what does this organization do? And at the end of the day, we are at the table kind of navigating this whole, I kind of call it wraparound services for musicians, the creative economy, and our venues, trying to kind of navigate on the city side, how can we continue to keep those things up so that nurturing aspect continues?
I'm curious, are the other cultural districts in the city also at the table? Like, do you see our other cultural districts there? Do you guys work together or partner together just to make sure that that everyone's voice is heard, or does it not work that way?
It's pretty fragmented at this time, I will tell you. We've got some really good destinations. And for a while, the city was bringing everyone together to kind of share ideas and collaborate. But I do know the other cultural districts, the African American Cultural Heritage District and the Mexican American Cultural Heritage District, are greatly working independently on the advocacy side of things for things that they really need in their districts.
That's awesome. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. This has been great. I have really wanted someone to break everything down because I think that when you're listening to the news and you hear that you might be losing some of your favorite places, it's easy to get scared and wrapped up in like, what's happening? What can I do? What can't I do? So I appreciate you coming in and chatting with me about this.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you guys hearing us out. I mean, we've got the work cut out ahead of us,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure, we're at the table, we're a partner, and I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of share who we are.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to the Red River Cultural District's website in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.